At 82, I've learned many lessons about life, but there's one decision I deeply regret: moving into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the right thing to do. My family encouraged me, promising that I would have all the care and comfort I needed. I trusted them. But once I moved in, I quickly realized that the reality was far from what I had imagined. I know some of you might be considering this option, either for yourself or for a loved one. Maybe you think it's the safest choice, or perhaps you've been told it will make life easier. Before you take that step, I want to share 6 things I wish someone had told me before I moved into a nursing home. The truth is, life in a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It changes everything. And once you're in, getting out isn't as simple as you might think. Stay with me until the end, because some of these lessons may surprise you. And if you know someone who's thinking about moving into a nursing home, this video could be exactly what they need to hear before making such a life-changing decision. Let's dive in. Regret number 1: losing my independence. The biggest shock after moving into a nursing home wasn't the small room, the set meal times, or even the unfamiliar faces. It was realizing that I had lost control over my own life. Before I moved in, I had my own routines. I chose when to wake up, when to eat, and how to spend my day. I could go for a walk whenever I felt like it, cook my own meals, or just relax quietly in my favorite chair with a good book. But once I was in the nursing home, I quickly realized that my time was no longer my own. Everything ran on a schedule that wasn't mine. Breakfast happened at a set time, even if I wasn't hungry. Lights went out at a fixed hour, whether I was ready for bed or not. Want to take a walk outside? You might need permission, and you'll probably have to wait until someone is free to assist you. Even simple decisions, like what to eat or what to wear, started to feel like privileges rather than basic choices. I remember my first week there. I woke up in a bed that didn't feel like mine, stretched, and reached for the book I'd been reading at home. But as I looked around the room, it hit me. This wasn't my home, my books, my favorite chair, the little comforts I had spent years collecting, gone. In their place were sterile walls, a bed I didn't choose, and a feeling I couldn't shake. I wasn't in charge of my life anymore. The hardest part? Realizing that once you give up your independence, getting it back is nearly impossible. You adapt because you have no other choice. You stop complaining when they tell you what's for dinner. You stop asking to take walks whenever you feel like it. You learn to fit into their system, but in the process, you start losing pieces of yourself. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you truly ready to give up the small freedoms that make life yours? Because once they're gone, you'll miss them more than you ever thought possible. Regret doctrine 2: feeling forgotten. One of the hardest truths about living in a nursing home is realizing that the world outside keeps moving without you. When I first moved in, my family assured me that they would visit often. I believed them, and at first they did. My daughter visited once a week, and my grandchildren came by on weekends. For a little while, I still felt connected to my old life, but as the months passed, the visits became less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of coming in person. My grandchildren got busy with school and work, and holidays were the hardest. Everyone promised they'd come, but somehow plans always changed at the last minute. Suddenly, I found myself sitting alone in the common room, watching other residents stare at the door, hoping that today would be the day someone remembered them. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. Life just got in the way. When you're not around every day, it's easy for people to assume you're doing fine, that you're adjusting, that you don't need as much attention. But the truth is, the longer you're in a nursing home, the easier it is for people to forget just how much you still need them. I remember one evening, sitting in my room and holding my phone, debating whether to call my son. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to remind him that I was here, waiting for a visit that might never happen. So I put the phone down. And that's when it hit me. This was my life now, watching the days go by, hoping someone would remember to include me. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the loneliness? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're out of sight, it's easier than you think to become out of mind. If you've stayed with me so far and you're finding these insights helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. Now, let's move forward. Regret 3. Losing my sense of purpose. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought I was just changing where I lived. I didn't realize I was also changing why I lived. At home, I had responsibilities. I had routines, hobbies, and a reason to get up in the morning. Even the small things, watering the plants, making my own coffee, tidying up my space, gave me a sense of purpose. But in the nursing home, those daily rituals disappeared. Meals were made for me. Cleaning was done by someone else. The plants? Well, they weren't mine to take care of anymore. At first, I told myself it would be nice to finally relax. No more chores, no more responsibilities, just rest. But after a few weeks, I realized something was missing. The days felt long, stretched out, with nothing to do but wait. I saw it in other residents too. People who had once been full of energy now spent their days sitting, staring, and waiting for time to pass. There was a man named George, 84 years old, who had been a carpenter his entire life. At home, he was always fixing things, building little projects in his garage. But here, there were no tools, no projects, nothing for him to create. I watched as he slowly withdrew, his hands, once strong and skilled, now idle in his lap. "I feel useless," he told me one day, and I knew exactly what he meant. When you no longer have something to care for, something to work toward, life starts to lose its meaning. The mind slows down, the body follows, and soon you start to feel like just another resident in a place where time moves. But nothing really changes. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you move in, finding purpose isn't as simple as just filling your time. It's about fighting to hold on to the things that make you feel alive. Regret 4. Declining health faster than expected. Before I moved into a nursing home, I was doing well for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I could still take care of myself, go for walks, and cook my own meals. I had my little routines that kept me moving, grocery shopping, stretching in the mornings, even just walking around the house to keep my legs strong. But once I moved in, everything changed. At first, it seemed like I was just taking it easy. Meals were brought to me, and I no longer had to stand in the kitchen to cook. If I needed something, I could just push a button and someone would come help. But what I didn't realize was that the less I did for myself, the weaker I became. I stopped moving as much, and soon, my legs felt stiffer. I sat more than I used to, and before I knew it, getting up from a chair started feeling like a chore. The muscles I had spent years maintaining were disappearing faster than I ever expected. And it wasn't just me. I saw it happen to others too. People who walked in on their own 2 feet were suddenly relying on wheelchairs. People who had once been independent now needed help with things they had never struggled with before. The more help we were given, the more we seemed to need it. I remember my neighbor, Alice, an 81-year-old woman who was lively when she first arrived. She used to take daily walks around the facility, insisting that she wasn't going to slow down just because of a number. But after a few months, I noticed she wasn't walking as much. Then, she started using a walker, then a wheelchair. One day, she looked at me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months." And that's exactly what it felt like. When you stop using your body, you start losing it. And in a nursing home where everything is designed to make things easier, it's easy to forget that movement isn't just about convenience. It's about surviving. If I had known how quickly I would lose my strength, I would have fought harder to keep moving, to stay active, to push myself, even when I didn't feel like it. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, will you still have the motivation to keep your body strong when everything is set up to make life effortless? Because once you slow down, Getting back up isn't as easy as you think. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Regret 5. The loss of privacy and dignity. One of the things I didn't fully consider before moving into a nursing home was just how much privacy I would lose. At home, I had my own space. I could close my bedroom door, sit in silence if I wanted, and do things on my own terms. But in a nursing home, privacy is a luxury you don't always get to keep. From the moment I arrived, I felt like I was constantly being watched. Staff coming in and out, scheduled room checks, and shared spaces where you're rarely alone. Even simple things like getting dressed or using the bathroom often required someone's assistance. I know they were just doing their job. Accepting help isn't easy, especially when it's for things you've managed independently your entire life. I still remember my first week grappling with the reality that I now had to ask for permission to do things I once did without a second thought. Want to take a shower? You might need to wait until someone's free to assist. Need to use the restroom? Sometimes pressing the call button means waiting longer than you'd like. Even meal choices were restricted. If you didn't like what was on the menu that day, well, tough luck. Then came the challenge of sharing space. Not everyone gets a private room, and having a roommate, someone you didn't choose, can be tough. I was fortunate to have a kind one, but I heard stories from others who weren't as lucky. Some had roommates who were noisy, unhygienic, or had cognitive challenges that made getting a good night's sleep nearly impossible. And no matter how hard you try to make your room feel like home, it's never truly yours. Losing dignity is difficult, and I didn't fully grasp how much of mine I'd have to give up until I was already there. When people knock but don't wait for you to answer before entering, when you're addressed like a patient instead of a person, when your daily routines are set by someone else's schedule, it changes you. You start feeling less like yourself and more like just another name on a list. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the privacy and control you've had your whole life? Because once it's gone, getting it back is not easy. Regret number 6. Realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved into the nursing home, I told myself it was temporary. I thought I'd give it a try, see how things went, and if I didn't like it, I could always leave. What I didn't realize was how much harder it would be to get out once I was in. At first, it seemed simple. If I didn't like it, I'd just go back home. But home wasn't the same anymore. My house sat empty, and maintaining it from a distance became difficult. My kids had already started making changes, selling things they thought I wouldn't need, and even considering renting out the place. When I mentioned wanting to return, they hesitated. Are you sure you can manage on your own? Wouldn't it be safer to stay? We just want what's best for you. And then, there was the matter of physical decline. After months of living in a place where I didn't have to cook, clean, or even walk much, I wasn't as strong as I used to be. The independence I once had was slipping away, making the thought of living alone more daunting than ever. I wasn't as confident in my ability to manage, and that fear kept me stuck. I met others with similar stories. They'd entered the nursing home thinking it would be temporary, only to find that leaving wasn't as simple as they'd imagined. The longer you stay, the harder it gets to adjust to life outside. Some even lost the option entirely once their homes were sold or their savings drained by care expenses. There was no going back. That's the part nobody tells you. Moving into a nursing home might feel like a decision you can undo, but for most people it's not. Slowly, it becomes your entire world, and before you realize it, the life you once knew starts to feel like a distant memory. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask yourself, are you truly prepared for the possibility that leaving might be much harder than it seems? Because once you've settled in, the financial, physical, and emotional barriers to leaving can be tougher to overcome than you might expect. Still watching? Let me know you're here by commenting number 6 below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Your support helps us keep creating content to inform and inspire. Final thoughts. Looking back, I don't regret growing older, but I do regret believing that a nursing home was my only choice. I walked in expecting comfort, safety, and a better quality of life. Instead, I found a place that slowly eroded my independence, privacy, purpose, and even my sense of self. Does that mean all nursing homes are bad? Not necessarily. Some people genuinely need the level of care they offer. But before you make that decision, think carefully about what you're giving up. Because once you're in, life will never be the same. If I could do it over, I'd have fought harder to stay in my own home, explored more ways to get help without sacrificing my freedom, and made sure I truly needed to be there before making such a permanent choice. If you're at this crossroads, I encourage you to pause and ask, is this really what's best for me? Or just what seems easiest right now? Because the life you're living today, your routines, your independence, your choices, is worth holding on to for as long as possible. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you've learned or how you plan to use it in your life. Your feedback motivates and encourages us. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue making meaningful content.